Um, I think my panel has already been introduced, so I would now request Mr. Atul Bhatnagar. He is the Chief Operating Officer, NSDC, to give his point of view.
Thank you, Professor Pant. NSDC, I mean, you've been introduced through Dilip. My name is Atul. Now, what we are seeing in the skill development in India, we have now quite a few partners all over India. And the numbers that we have talked about, those still stand. I think what's most critical is how we attend to these numbers. What we're seeing is a sum total, but actually it's a sigma of some 28 states and 7 union territories. And the diversity amongst those states is what's going to really determine the function, the success of any skilling venture. So we've got these skill gap studies on our website, and I invite every one of you to have a look at that. Our website is nsdcindia.org, and there's a tab called the Knowledge Bank, and the map of India opens up, and you can go to each state, and each district, we have what the skill gap is and what the youth aspiration are. So it's important to kind of, for an entrepreneur, to look at these two together, where the skill gap is there and the youth aspiration is high. And that is something what you need to have a starting ground to start a venture itself. That's one part. The other thing is we have to keep in mind what skilling in India is all about. As Professor Pant said, 2 years back, nobody was talking about it. People are now talking about it, but we've got a very strong parental mindset who we have to kind of convince why skilling is important. Because the parental mindset which really governs the funds for the trainee is become a graduate. And as again what Professor Pant said, that the graduates are unemployable because they don't have the specific skills. Now, in order to become, let's say, a skilled person, in order to be able to get that money or that purse that the parents are holding to invest in their child, it's important to show that skill has respect. The skill has an outcome, and the outcome is job, and the job earns you more money, and then you can reskill, upskill, what have you. So you have to show that career path in skilling. And we're not at any point in time saying we are competing against education. Skilling and education are not going to be competing against each other. One is going to complement the other. But the fact is, it shouldn't be that you become a graduate first and then you start looking at skilling. We've, at NSCC, we've got a study done by Millward Brown, and the fact that came out was the typical, and we're talking about this 150 million or the 350 million that's there, that Indian population, the parents typically have 25 to 30,000 Indian rupees as a lifetime saving for them. They need to put that money into somewhere to get their child into some kind of a job or livelihood through which he or she can stand on his own feet and then support the parents or whichever way. Now, the best thing that can happen to this child or this particular potential trainee is to be able to get to something where that money through which he can do a short-term course. Typically, his or her horizon is not 2 years and 5 years and to do this diploma, to do that degree, and not have an outcome at the end of it. So he or she is looking for a short-term course. When I say short-term, definitely longer than 1 year, 1 month, but shorter than maybe 9 months, let's say. And the career path for him or her is, again, learn a skill, learn some more, earn more. And by the way, on the side, you can do your graduation, complete your education, whichever form. It might be distant learning, maybe evening classes, weekend classes, online, whatever. And if I were to just look at education, and if I were to, let's say, those who are from the science background would understand me better, if you apply the differential calculus of dy dx and differentiate the function called education, then you would see education comprises basically a number of skills, skill 1, 2, 3, 4, number of soft skills, and theory. Unfortunately, India there is a lot of theory which is equal to education, and the skills kind of get missed out somewhere. I can take my own personal example. I'm a mechanical engineer from a pretty premier institute in India. But during my 5-year BTech course, there was a chance that during that I may not have been able to complete it because of personal circumstance, not because of capability, but then money could have run out and some family circumstances changed. But in case I hadn't been able to do that, then I would have been left nothing else but a 12th pass degree, a certificate rather, and that would have meant nothing. Luckily, I did get through. So, but if I were to look at my own career graph in that time, what I would have ideally liked to achieve is, let's say at the end of first year, I become a machinist. At the next year, I become a CNC machinist. Third year, I become a machine designer. By fourth year, I become a robotics engineer, and by fifth year, I get a mechanical engineer. At any point in time in between, I could walk away with a certificate or diploma, that paper to certify that I have learned a skill. And that skill was good enough to get me a job, get me some money, and maybe I can come back again and do the rest of it and complete my 5 years, maybe in 10 years. But there was an exit, and there could have been an exit, and that would have left me with something to hold on to. So I think when I take this, well, I was fortunate, I got through, but the target population that we are looking at is not looking for long-term programs. Those who have the means, they will definitely go for it, but those who don't is our target market. When we talked at 150 million, those are the people who have limited pot of money and they want to invest or choose a skilling program which can help them. And we are also seeing that again, because of the awareness levels of skilling, because of the outcomes and the successful outcomes that have now only started, those studies are going to now come in, those are now becoming more public. We are going through an advertising campaign on skilling in all over India. We are showing the results now with more employment-based skilling programs. So there will be, it'll take some time, but it will develop. But the parents want to see an outcome. Now the outcome is best determined by choosing the right skill at the right time and the right place. And we have now developed a technology solution for creating a repository of skills for all the skilled people in India. So this year we're doing 1 million people for skilling. Next year it's going to be 3.3 million. Year after that it's going to be 6.9 million. So the NSCC graph of skilling is going up very steeply. What we want to encourage those people who are getting into skilling and those who are partnering with us is to follow a certain discipline and an organized way with which we approach this challenge. And that is skill the right people or skill people for the right skill, because otherwise if the jobs are not there or if they don't get a livelihood, then this whole thing might fall apart. And this demographic dividend that India is talking about can become a demographic disaster. So when the studies are all there on the website, and those who are coming in and want to partner with India or start programs in India, be very, very cognizant of the fact that the skilled aspirations even in states across borders within 100 kilometers change. And so it's not good enough to say, well, India needs so many nurses. Well, it's not a uniform thing. There are certain states in India down south which are very focused on the nursing profession, and the very next neighboring state, nursing may not be something that the ladies from that state we aspire to. So it's when you develop your own business plans, I think this is very important to focus on. And we are there to help, we are there to share information as it comes to us. And I do welcome the large delegation from Australia. India has two religions, one is cricket, the other is Bollywood. And I think both had a lot of contribution from Australia. Dennis Lilly started the fast bowling bowlers from India, and Bet Lee came and participated in Bollywood. I think next one is going to be skilling, is going to be the third religion, and I welcome the participation. Thank you.
Indeed, I think we have a third issue already open for dialogue between Australia and India, and is skilling besides cricket and Bollywood. Very rightly, Mr. Bhatnagar has said, and I would now request Mr. Neil Fernandez. He is the Chief Executive Officer, Central Institute of Technology, and he will be talking on training of trainers, Center of Excellence Feasible Study. Mr. Neil Fernandez, please.
Thank you, Professor.